Hi there, I'd like to make a little video before it's all assembled because some of the details can be viewed better while it is still apart. So what we see here is a 1/18 scale Bugatti Type 59 from Burago, and I have severely tinkered with this and changed a lot of things. This was a lot of work, and I'm sorry I never made a video so far, but here we go. Now I'm doing it. The look that I'm going for is obviously a well used Bugatti that had some fire problems in the engine area and had some leakage in the cooler and some rust issues where the Bugattis potentially could rust. So let's start right from the front here. What I've done here, I have cut off the license plate holder and filed this thing around with files, and I cut it first with a saw. I then filed it with files and sandpaper, so that's basically now a aluminium bar as far as I'm concerned for the front member of the frame. The way I did the grille, okay, I detailed the Bugatti sign. I just had red paint run in there. I did sand it and scratch it a little bit. I applied a little bit of silver paint to get some aging effect, and the rust I achieved by a solution that I made from apple vinegar and steel wool. It's been sitting for a while, so then you can just paintbrush it on, and it will then, once it's dry, it is real rust. So let's see what else was there. I always scuffed and sanded and scratched the paint everywhere. I have detailed the holes. I only today found out that these frames actually do have holes. So what you see here, as in dirty and filled with black, oily, whatever mess, it should actually be a hole. I didn't know that. So, but then again, it is very difficult to drill these holes out and to get them exactly in the center. So in this scale, it's a little bit too much of a bother, so I decided not to go back and drill them. Yeah, I painted all of the bolts. That's a mixture of using a paintbrush and a little bit of paint from a spray can or fluid aluminium in some areas. This is I think a part of the axis, but I've seen that this is actually aluminium here. So the hood, I did sand the hood, and I used a little copper rotational wire brush with an electric drill to take off all the paint. I did sand the two parts of the hood consecutively with 320, 400, 600, 800, 1000, 1200, 1500, and then I polished it with aluminium polish, and then I burnt the hood with a flame torch. I did the left side second and the right side first. What happened? I did apply a little bit too much heat, and it basically extended a lot. So this made this hood a whole lot longer, and it blew up and it bent severely. So by me bending it back somehow in shape, some pieces broke off, and I then had to go back with a file and shorten it again so it does fit the frame again. So I can't really set it on for you right now in the correct fashion because there's obviously these little tabs that hinge the hood. So it does fit once it's on, so but I'm still working on that. to get it sitting right. So about the numbers. Okay, let's go back to the grill. The numbers. I made the numbers. I couldn't really find the correct font. I found this on another Bugatti model, this kind of font, and then I used the closest thing that I could find on Word. I did print it out in the right size, and then I modified it. I did cut out a template in paper, which I then applied with spray mount, and I lightly painted the number. You can see that I put too much paint on it because it does fill the holes, so what you should see here as a whole should still be black, so next time I'll know better. I did the same with the numbers on the hood and at the back of the body here. I then distressed it, I sanded it, I painted over this with the wash that I'm using. Yeah, let's talk about the wash. The wash had been done before I burned the hood, and the wash is basically paint thinner, 2-component paint thinner with a little bit of black paint from a spray paint can, and I just see now I need to go back and take out the residue of the polish here still. So as I wasn't really so happy with the fact that it distorted when I applied too much paint, and I didn't get enough burn marks, so what I've done then, I used a normal lighter, cigarette lighter, and hold it at the far at the top of the flame, or the what is above the flame, where it's kind of smoky, and then you get this black burnt effect. I also went back and added some more wash in these areas, and that basically gets the effect of the hood. So obviously we're simulating that the right side of the hood is more fire damaged than the right one, so that's why I went back afterwards. All said done, I went back and polished it a little bit. So I'm not quite happy yet with the effect, because it's too polished here and it's too dirty right next to it, so I need to find a way of making this a little bit better. On the inside of the hood I also sanded premature, applying the heat with the blowtorch. So what you see here now at the front end, here is 2-component glue and the soldering iron. So the soldering didn't work. Because of the small piece here, it picked up too much heat and it didn't pick up the solder at all. This bigger piece also got very hot, and finally the solder did stick, but it didn't combine the two parts, which was my idea. So the next thing that I did was 2-component glue, which also failed, so it's not stable at the moment. It moves, so I will need to get some more on it. But this one here, it hinges. The way these hoods are applied on the Bugatti model is that there is little tabs at the bottom here, and I basically used a screwdriver and a hammer to knock them out, which resulted in me damaging one of them, the one here, that on the outside, on the bottom of the picture at the moment. So what I did is I cut a little bit of a tab. Here you go, focus, and that is the leftover material from the license plate holder. Okay, so, and also I glued that on with 2-component glue, sorry. So that seems to work. I will do this on all 4 tabs because I'm not sure how well the hood is actually going to stay in there at the moment. I'm wanting to keep this hinging because I did a lot of work on the engine for detailing. So also I sanded the inside of the engine hood. So let's continue down the way. I realized on my research that these are either pop rivets or bolts, so I just all sanded them down first, which gives them a silver head. Also tried to get these rods here in copper with a paintbrush. down there. It's, you know, it's semi-successful. If you look at it as a total picture, it works. If you go close, it's very hard to get this detailed nicely. About the tanks, I had them out. I took the paint off around it. I did nothing to the actual filler caps. That is the original plastic part in chrome. I did apply a little bit of wash where they sit, so to make it dirty, scratched, black, oily, whatever you want to call it. Okay, also this is actually a mirror, so I painted this with aluminium paint and paintbrush. And for the actual windscreen, what I did, I cut it down. You know, this was a whole lot higher here. This went up, sorry, where are we? This went up about this far, so I cut this off, and I also cut the screen. The screen is, this was an old model that I bought off eBay, quite worn and dirty, so the screen also has a little bit of an aged effect, which is perfect. So I just cut down the screen and I will glue that in with super glue. I'm using super glue at the moment to glue everything, and works best for me. So let's see what else. Yeah, I mean the overall the blue paint, I did scratch it with a wire brush manually. I did sand it, and I used a kitchen cleaner, one of those little yellow things which has a green scratchy side to it. So I used that to scuff it all completely matte. On these vents, I was trying my best to basically make them look black on the one side only where they're open, but that didn't work. So room for improvement. I should say that this is the first time I'm ever doing anything like that, and I'm obviously not having very much time, so this is laying around here and there for weeks until I get an idea or until I have time again. What I also have done here, on the inside of the grill, I painted this silver, and then I applied the wash so it looks nice and worn, I would say. You don't see much of that once the engine is in. Okay, so let's get a complete shot here again of this. So that's the body at the moment. Let's put this away. All of the plastic parts that are silver, they have more or less received the same treatment. I'm spraying a little bit of fluid aluminium in a cap of the spray can. I brush it on, I let it dry, and then I go back with my wash. So, chassis. What have I done to the chassis? I took the tires off. Maybe I lay this on the side, we can see better. There's a couple of things that I tried with the rims. So, first of all, I painted them matte black. I then scratched off some lead pencil and brushed on the powder with a paintbrush on the wheels, so it gets a little bit of a brake dust effect. I also used my rust solution on the nipples because potentially this could be rusty. Not sure whether Bugatti used inferior parts that would rust, but anyway, that's what I did. So that is a little bit loose, so I will glue this together so it sits better. What else? The nuts on the wheels, I've done nothing to them. They were just old plastic pieces in chrome. For the axis, again, same method here. Painted with, in this case I used a matte silver to paint it, and then applied the wash, and I used the rust solution on the springs. I didn't research, you know, like on all the Bugattis that I can find on Google Images, they're actually shiny and brand new. I have not yet come across an old one. So here, bottom half of the engine, I like that very much. Effect of this I think is good. I bought an oil wash from a model shop, and that wasn't very satisfactory for me, so I went back with my wash. I made a relatively dry wash here, a lot of black paint and a little bit of paint thinner only. I applied the wash on the whole floor here, and I added a little bit of silver to it. So what this oval thing here in the back is, I'm assuming it is a body of the rear axis, the oil carrying element of the axis. So I painted that, paintbrush, silver, again, wash. Same on the brake discs. There, as far as I think, aluminium, so they're just oxidized and aged. Okay, so that's it for the chassis. On the pedals, I had to do nothing. They look right to me already. Actually, yeah, I did paint them silver, sorry, and the wash. Again, there's nothing that I painted in silver and didn't afterwards apply a wash for aging. So let's get to the engine. It's obviously not complete at the moment, but there you have it. So one of the main things that I've done here is that I have used an electric cable for the spark plugs. So they sit nicely on top of a little nipple that sticks out of the engine, and then I stuck in some wire. The wire first I straightened so that they would all run parallel, and they were all sitting on top of each other with super glue, so that hardens the thread nicely. But I didn't like it because I had then 8 cables on top of each other, so it was too high in the rear end. So I cut them apart again, and then I used a little bit of black thread and pulled them together. I mean, I'm focusing on this very closely, so you see all the detailing. Once you look at it with the eye at a normal distance, it's actually, I think it's quite okay, especially thinking that, you know, this Burago kit is not necessarily a nice one. So there's a lot of things that one needs to deal with to make it look a little bit more realistic. So this is the intake side of the engine. So what you see down here is just pure paintbrushed aluminium paint, and in this case not aged, not stressed. The rest of the aluminium that you will see once the hood is open, I again treated with silver paint and my black wash. For the steering wheel, I painted the center, since I'm assuming this is aluminium. Wow, this is really unforgiving here when you focus in so big. It does look better with the pure eye, I must say. Anyway, so I glued around some thread and I held it with wood glue. I also detailed some of the containers here with a Sharpie, a copper Sharpie and a golden Sharpie I used. I also used the Sharpie for the bolts here on the floor. This heat shield here, I used golden paint and distressed it afterwards. Wow, this is unforgiving when you zoom in so closely. It does look good when you just look at it with your pure eye and a little bit of distance. So that's what I wanted to film for now. I hope to upload this right away, and once I'm finished, whenever that will be, I will film the complete thing again. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any comments, any suggestions, please let me know. I have looked on YouTube. I haven't found anyone who detailed the Burago 1/18 scale. I did buy one of those super expensive 18 scale Bugattis, but it's not a 59, I think it's a 35, so I do like the 59 much better because it's longer. And you know, I think I bought this model for €5 plus shipping, so it was like less than 10 euros, and the rest is this time, and you know, all the materials cost nothing, and all the paint I had laying around. So I enjoyed the fiddling with it, and it just helped me study the subject in the first place. What is what and what does a Bugatti look like? Okay, one more thing that you see here on this plastic container. This is designer's tape. It's usually like a creamy white, and I wanted to make some hood straps. Here you go, hood straps. So what I did is I used some brown paint and added a little bit of black to it, and I painted it on here, and afterwards I used my wash again to make it look old, and then I used this tape and glue it straight on the hood. So that would be the result of that. It matches the color of the seat. Don't have the seat here at the moment, so I will talk about it in the next video. So hope you enjoy it, hope you like it. Again, you know, this is the first time I ever aged anything or ever played with a model that size and add so much effort and love and detail to it. So I'm kind of happy with the result, and I hope you enjoy the video. So take care, bye bye.